Here's something real cool. A Chicago activist has just been named the TIME100 Next list, which recognizes emerging global leaders in science, education, entertainment, and tech. Chicago's very own Marshall Hatch Jr. started the MAAFA Redemption Project. And this is an agency that provides job training, housing, and mentorship for black men in West Garfield Park. Marshall joins us this morning. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I'm incredibly honored, very grateful. Shout out to Reverend Al Sharpton, who, of course, wrote the profile piece. He actually visited West Garfield Park 10 years ago to put a spotlight on the conditions in West Garfield Park.
And you started it a couple of years later. You started MAAFA a couple of years after that.
2017.
Real quick before we dive into what you exactly do, what was your reaction when you first got this phone call?
I thought it was a hoax. Yeah. Well, it was actually an email. I thought it was a hoax, and I
spam. Like, okay, they just want my money somehow.
Yeah, but again, incredibly grateful.
So cool. All right, so kick us off by running us through what this personally means to you, and then we'll talk about what you guys actually do. What does it mean to you to be recognized in this way?
Well, you know, I'm humbled by it because it puts a spotlight on the work. Mm-hmm. And the MAAFA Redemption Project is a ministry of New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church located in West Garfield Park. I talked about Reverend Al Sharpton. He actually mentioned my father in that piece as well, who's been the senior pastor for 32 years. And the church is now celebrating its 75th anniversary this year. There's a beautiful stained glass window because we inherited an old Catholic building, the old St. Mel Parish, called the MAAFA Remembrance Window, and we installed it in 2000. And so we're celebrating its 25th anniversary. So it's really a year of celebration, but also reflection given, you know, the socio-political climate and what's happening in Chicago.
Familiarize me, MAAFA, where does that name come from?
MAAFA is Swahili, and it literally means catastrophe or great disaster, or overcoming the great disaster. There's a brilliant book by Marimba Ani called Let the Circle Be Unbroken, and she popularized this term MAAFA to speak to the Middle Passage or the transatlantic slave trade and what it must have felt like to be at the bottom of a slave ship on your way to the so-called New World, but also the reverberations of the MAAFA. And so the current conditions in West Garfield Park, one of the most resilient neighborhoods in Chicago, one of the youngest neighborhoods in Chicago, but of course, you know, facing one of the lowest life expectancies in the city. Its greatest resource is the people, and it's 95% African American. I believe since 1980, it's lost 51% of its population, so currently facing.
Wow, so catastrophe is not hyperbole when it comes to describing, you know, the situation that you all inherited 8 years into this effort. What kinds of work do you guys do year to year?
So the MAAFA Redemption Project is cohort-based, and so our first cohort in 2017, we started with 12 young men, and this week we're starting our 9th cohort, and we've graduated over 200 young men.
That's unbelievable.
And 3 years ago, we partnered with the beautiful Seed Foundation, offering similar services to young women of color as well.
Love what you're doing. Where can find, we're short on time.
Sure.
Where can folks find out more about MAAFA?
MAAFAchicago.org.
Okay.
That's our website.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to you, Marshall. From now on, I want you to introduce yourself. Like, I'm TIME100's Marshall Hatch Jr. All right, Natalie? That's. I mean, I'd be bragging to screaming that from the rooftops.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really love what you're doing. Congratulations. All right.